Hi everybody. One thing I want to just let everybody know about here is that for some of the problems, you may not be able to use StatCrunch to do the summary stats. So, like for example, if you click on this and go open in StatCrunch, um, and um, and then just click on Stat and Summary Stats. Um, if I click Compute here, it gives me a variance of 20. Now, that would be the sample standard deviation. I'm not sure if there's a way to get StatCrunch to give you the population standard deviation, but just be aware that there is a slight difference in the formula. For the population standard deviation, if you have all the data, in other words, you divide by n, whereas for the sample standard deviation, um, you divide by n minus 1. And your book doesn't really go into a lot of detail on that. I wouldn't really worry about that. If you want more of an explanation, you can go, type into your favorite search engine or YouTube, why do you divide by n minus 1? Um, but the um, the main thing to remember is that if you have a sample from an entire population, if you don't have all of the data, you want to use the sample standard deviation. And if you have all of the data about a population, you want to use the population standard deviation. So this one you might want to compute by hand, or again, you could do it in Excel. So for example, for this one, the answer would not be 20, it's 16. If you enter the data in Excel here, and then you use the formula on the bottom of page 143, and I would use the computational formula. It's sort of below the yellow box there. Um, but what you'd want to do is square each number here, which I did. So this is your original data set, and then I just summed this data here. I squared each number here, and then I summed the squares. And so if you plug into that formula, it's got sigma is equal to the square root of the sum the sum of the squares, which would be this, minus the uh, the sum of the terms squared divided by n. So in this case, you've got 5 data points, which would be, so n would be 5. And then you'd want to take that number and divide that by 5. You can kind of see up here that I've got the formulas for those things. So I'm just taking the value in this cell B6, minus the value in this cell squared divided by the total number, and then dividing that by 5. You can, of course, do this, just sort of by hand with a calculator as well, because I know some of you may not have access to Excel. Um, and again, if I have you do something like this on the exam, it's something that you should be able to compute, relatively easily, quickly with a, pen and paper and a simple calculator. So the in any event, just be aware that if you have to calculate the population standard deviations, you might kind of have to do that from scratch instead of using StatCrunch. So just thought I'd let you guys know. All right, bye.